Prime Minister Mark Carney's office says U.S. President Donald Trump has agreed to reach a deal on a new economic and security relationship with Canada by mid-July. Canada's formal summary of the meeting between the two leaders this morning says Trump and Carney agreed to pursue negotiations toward a deal within the coming 30 days. This follows the events today at the G7 summit, where Trump faced a barrage of questions surrounding trade and war. Carney kicked off this year's summit, and inquiries about a new trade deal with Canada were top of mind. Jason Gaidola joins us in studio with the latest. Jason, what can you tell us?
Manisa, Trump said earlier that a deal was, quote, achievable, despite telling reporters this afternoon that him and Carney have different concepts on what that trade deal would look like. Now they have that 30-day deadline to make it happen.
It's not so much holding up. I think we have different concepts. I have a tariff concept. Mark has a different concept, which is something that some people like. But we're going to see if we can get to the bottom of it today. I'm a tariff person.
U.S. President Donald Trump appeared self-assertive as usual, with Prime Minister Mark Carney standing beside him this morning, while also leaving an olive branch about ending a trade war.
And I think Mark has a more complex idea, but also very good. So we're going to look at both, and we're going to see what we're going to come out with something.
For the first time since his first term as president, Trump touched down in Kananaskis, Alberta today, beginning the day by saying he thinks a new trade deal with Canada is, quote, achievable.
We have a few more minutes with the president and his team, and then we actually have to start the meeting to address some of these big issues. So thank you.
As chair of this year's G7 summit, the Prime Minister abruptly cut off questions from the press and began welcoming other world leaders from Britain, France, and more.
We might not agree on absolutely every issue, but where we will cooperate, we will make an enormous difference for our citizens and for the world, and bring the next era of prosperity, I hope, to the benefit of those we serve.
Carney says frank discussions will be had as the leaders started the day with a working session focused on the global economic outlook.
There's one person that is causing this issue, and that's President Trump. Hopefully he'll take another avenue and start mending fences. Because right now, as the governor's told us here, they're seeing a drastic decline in Canadian tourism.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford made an appearance on CNN this morning while in Massachusetts with other provincial leaders meeting with U.S. governors. He says Canada is united on expanding Ontario's mining operations for rich minerals as a counter to the White House's trade war. Prior to the lunch meeting, Carney and Trump met privately after weeks of exchanging phone calls and text messages about the country's trading relationship, renewing hope of an economic resolution to Trump's tariff policy.
Well, in some ways, this G7 really is a G6 plus one. The six other countries have a particular view about economic relations, security relations, what is happening in Ukraine, what is happening in the Middle East. It's a view that the United States for a very long time not only shared, but actually exemplified.
Trump did shift the direction at the summit, blaming Canada and the Obama administration for ejecting Russia out of the group.
And I would say that was a mistake, because I think you wouldn't have a war right now if you had Russia in. And you wouldn't have a war right now if Trump were president 4 years ago. But it didn't work out that way.
The war in Ukraine is one of Canada's top priorities as host of the summit. Carney also invited Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to attend, which Zelensky accepted. Meanwhile, questions surrounding the escalation between Israel and Iran arose after Israel launched an attack last week over concerns of Iran's nuclear program. Iran swatted down any threat and retaliated on Israeli cities.
I had 60 days, and they had 60 days, and on the 61st day I said, we don't have a deal. They have to make a deal, and it's painful for both parties, but I'd say Iran is not winning this war. And they should talk, and they should talk immediately before it's too late.
Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc said talks with the Trump administration this afternoon were, quote, long and productive. LeBlanc wouldn't say whether Trump mentioned annexing Canada during that meeting.